guys, this is JAde with DOS Jamming, and today we're going to be looking at the main differences between sampling and sequencing. So if you're coming from a DAW, what you did with a MIDI controller when you chose a preset and you could pick the notes and you could switch the notes on the piano roll, that's sequencing. When you're doing that in a hardware synth, you're not seeing that piano roll, but basically the same thing is going inside of that piece of hardware. So different sequencers have different ways of inputting notes. There's step sequencing where you pick the step, you can twist the knob and you can pick the note, or some sequencers have built-in keyboards on them. Another option is an external MIDI keyboard. Sampling, on the other hand, is audio. So here's where the main difference comes in play. Sampling is audio, MIDI is data. So MIDI isn't going to give you audio, so even if you have MIDI notes down, you're still going to need a way to get that sound out of your synthesizer. So let's say you make a loop on a sequencer. The cool thing about a sequencer is that the data of those notes is saved, but not the parameters. So you could be tweaking all the parameters, messing with the ADSR, messing with the filter. Everything is in constant change. With an audio loop, it's already pre-recorded, so there's only so much you can do to it unless you have like a really fancy sampler. On an audio loop, you can't go in and individually change the notes of each step because it's already pre-recorded. It's already a pre-recorded piece of audio. So what you can do to it is you can chop it up in a sampler, you can play different parts of it in a sampler, you could tune each part differently, but you're not going to be able to switch, let's say, a C to a B or a G. You're not going to be able to do that. If you ever heard anyone say, I'm gonna mangle this piece of audio, that's what they're doing. They're getting that sample and they're time stretching it to make the tempo slower or faster, keep the pitch the same, or speed up or slow the pitch, and those are things that you can do with a sampler. With a sequencer, you're just inputting the data and editing the data afterwards. You can also, let's say if you have a desktop module, you can use one desktop module, layer a sequence, switch that desktop module to another synthesizer, and have that same sequence on your sequencer. Because the sequencer is pretty much the hub, the brain that saves the sequences, that saves the data. So it doesn't really matter which synthesizer you use to make that data, because you could just plug in a different synthesizer and get different results every time. So they both have their pros and their cons. If you're thinking about it in a DAW perspective, audio would be something that you loop, like a loop where you can actually see the waveforms, and sequencing would be, once again, the piano roll that I was talking about. I love sequencing because I love having control over my filter sweeps, over all my parameters, being able to change something on the fly and have it be something completely unexpected. Audio, you have to be a little more careful because where you start your loop, if it's not on time, it's not going to loop properly. With a sequencer, you could quantize your notes, make sure that everything is on point, which kind of makes you a little lazy, I've noticed, because if you get used to quantizing, then you're not really putting in the effort to learn how to play on time, and that can really be an issue. When I sit down and play my keyboard and I loop, I feel like I'm getting a lot of practice down to make sure that everything is on time, because I know if I mess up, I can't go in and quantize it. Looping is definitely a skill. I feel sequencing is a lot easier to do than looping because looping really does require better timing, better playing skills, and just more security of what you're doing. Like, you know that this is how it's gonna be and this is how I want to achieve it. With sequencing, it's not really like that. It's just, I'm experimenting, I'm gonna put this note here, I'm gonna put this note here, and if I don't like it, I can just switch the note. With audio, it's just like permanent. So what you need to take away from this video is that sequencing is MIDI data and sampling is audio. And that's pretty much it. So that's it for today, guys. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and support a sister on Patreon if you can. Catch you later.